A recent study shows that over 88 million project management-related job roles will be created by 2027. So, where does that leave an aspiring project manager? With everlasting competition in the job market, one can always stay ahead with the best of knowledge. This is Ryan from Invensis Learning, and I welcome you all to this session in which we will learn about the top 50 project manager interview questions to prepare you for the interview. Let's take a look at the agenda for this session. We will start with the project manager's basic job role and responsibilities. And then we will start with the interview questions. Watch this video until the end for some exciting scenario-based questions. I hope you guys are clear with the agenda. Let's start with the project manager job role and responsibilities. A project manager is a professional in the field of project management who will be responsible for the following roles in an organization: planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing a project from scratch. Their roles and responsibilities will include activity and resource planning, organizing and motivating a project team, controlling time management, cost estimating and developing the budget for the project, ensuring that the project requirements are fully understood and fulfilled in the end, planning project risk management, issue, and bug tracking systems, monitoring the project's progress, managing reports, etc. These were a few responsibilities that are associated with the project manager. Now, let us take a look at the top 50 interview questions for project managers. The first question is: how do you define an ideal project? A project is nothing more than a combination of several tasks that work together to finish the project. These tasks include collaboration, requirements gathering, project delivery within a specific deadline, and most importantly, the expenses that will occur during the whole project. An ideal project is a project where there are no extra expenses involved during the whole project. The communication between the teams is smooth, there is no confusion in the requirements given by the stakeholders. Each role and responsibilities are clear to the resources, no confusion in the deadlines and the deliverables. And most importantly, the project deliverables and finished within the specified deadline. The next question is: how do you make a project plan? A project plan is a structured and systematic approach to a project. There are certain factors that are ensured before you can start making a project plan. All the stages in the project life cycle will be thoroughly analyzed and taken into consideration for the whole project plan to work efficiently and effectively. The following steps can be taken for making a project plan. Define your project. Defining the project will also include making sure that you have analyzed the project scope, objectives, requirements, deliverables, and project schedule. Define project scope quality. This will cover the necessary measures that must be taken before the project begins so that any setbacks can be handled. Identifying risks, dependencies, and how they would affect the project is basically handled in the project scope quality. It basically ensures a standard or a quality for the project. Organize the people for the project. In this, you will basically create a structure where each role and responsibilities is clearly defined and there is no confusion in the project. Define project resources. Defining project resources is basically identifying all the required resources that will essentially complete the project. Project communications and change management plan. Ensure the effective communication plan among the teams and stakeholders along with an effective change management plan. You can follow these steps to create a project plan for any project. Question number 3 is: what factors do you consider while making a project plan? The following factors are considered when you're creating a project plan. Project estimation. While making a project plan, one must consider the project scope, requirements, objectives, etc. Project team. Managing the teams and assigning tasks to them to get the project running. Defining roles and responsibilities for the project to avoid any confusion and hassle-free progress of the project. Project schedule. The next important factor is to consider the schedule of the project and align it with the project timeline so that the project falls within the budget. Project deliverables. The other factors are the dependencies and the changes that may hamper the project delivery. This is one of the most important factors while making the project plan. You make sure that the dependencies and any project delay that may occur during the project are already taken into consideration and plans are in order to take care of them. The next question is: what is a project charter? The project charter is a document that contains the details of the project in its entirety, as brief as it can be. The project charter basically consists of the following components: project scope, project goals and objectives, project requirements, project description, project team, project timeline, etc. All in all, The purpose of the project charter is to define the whole project in a brief document. Question number 5 is: how do you make a work breakdown structure? Work breakdown structure, or WBS in project management, is a method of breaking down a complex project into smaller components so that it becomes easier to manage and get the deliverables. The tasks are divided into levels where the project goals are kept in the first level, and then the subsequent levels contain the subtasks and other manageable components. While creating a work breakdown structure for a project, consider the following. Make sure that the entire work is included in the structure. Follow the 880 rule. Include 3 levels of detail. Focus on deliverables, not the actions. The next question is: how do you identify the stakeholders in your project? A stakeholder in a project is any person or organization that can get affected or affect a project. They may or may not be a part of the project, they can be a member of the team or the whole team, or they are involved in the outcome of the project, or just change the outcome of the project as it pans out. All in all, stakeholders play an important role in project success. It is crucial to identify the stakeholders before the project begins. You can identify the stakeholders in a project in the following ways. One way to identify the stakeholders is by identifying them organizationally, or by what kind of role they play in the project, since not all stakeholders are equally invested in the project. Another way of identifying stakeholders is by analyzing who all will be affected by the project, both directly and indirectly. While all the stakeholders are identified, they are documented in the project stakeholder register with their details like name, contact details, roles, organization, etc. The next question is: what are the stages involved in the project management life cycle? There are 5 stages involved in the project management life cycle. Initiation. In this stage, the project feasibility and business value are determined. Planning. The planning stage involves the project plan, scheduling, etc. Execution. Working and finishing the project deliverables are covered in the execution phase of the project management life cycle. Monitoring and control. While executing the deliverables, it is important to monitor the progress of the project, creating a rigid quality assurance plan in place. These activities are covered in the monitoring and control phase of the project management life cycle. Closure. It is the phase in which the deliverables are accepted and documented before submission. The retrospect at the end of the project to make sure that all the good is taken from the project and the bad makes for the lesson learned for the next project. The next question is: how will you prioritize the tasks in your project? Before you can prioritize your tasks in your project, you have to consolidate your tasks in a single source where you can monitor the progress of each task. For example, a Kanban or a Scrum board. After that, you must decide which tasks need to be done, which tasks you can do later, and which tasks you can assign to others, and which tasks you can remove from the task list. After this, you can prioritize tasks using the following approaches. Pareto principle. The Pareto principle states that you can get 80% of the results from 20% of the work. So applying this principle to your tasks, you can choose the tasks that will cover up the majority of your results. Priority matrix. You can use the priority matrix to assign each task a priority based on the matrix. The matrix will segregate the tasks according to importance and priority, but can cause confusion in the case of multiple tasks. Relative prioritization. For relative prioritization, you add the numbers to each of the tasks in the priority matrix. Most important tasks. Last but not least, you can focus on the tasks that are the most important tasks on your list and move forward with decreasing importance. The next question is: why is a critical path important for your project? The critical path method is a resource utilization algorithm in project management. It follows a detailed process in which you make a list of all the tasks that are involved in the project. You assign the dependencies of all the tasks, whether they are dependent on each other or not. After this, you will find out about the time duration that will be required for each task to be finished. After this, we create the longest stretch of tasks considering the dependencies from the starting of the project until the finish. And this is known as a critical path for a project. Since we have the critical path, we will then find the total float, which is nothing but the time duration for each task that can be delayed without making the project any longer. The critical path is important for the project because it basically creates a timeline where, without hampering the project delivery, we are able to finish the project. The 10th question is: how relevant are the knowledge areas for your project? There are 10 knowledge areas that are listed in the PMBOK, and since the PMBOK is a standard in the project management industry with more than 1 million PMP certified professionals in the world, The knowledge areas ensure all-around knowledge and best practices in project management. The 10 knowledge areas are: project integration management, project scope management, project time management, project cost management, project quality management, project human resources management, project communications management, project risk management, project procurement management, project stakeholders management. All the knowledge areas cover the 5 stages in the project management life cycle and ensure an efficient project management plan. The next question is, how do you choose a project management methodology? There can be several factors that decide which methodology you should actually go for. Here are a few that particularly play a very crucial role in choosing the correct methodology. Size of the team. The size of your team is a very important factor in deciding which methodology you are going to for your project. The kind of communication that would be required from the members of your team, or if they are going to be dependent on each other at all, and all sorts of things play a major role in deciding the correct methodology for your project. Allocated budget for the project. The budget allocated for the project also plays a very crucial role in deciding the methodology for the project. You have to be certain that no unprecedented expenses would be added to the budget. In the end, you have to be certain about any changes that may occur in the duration of the project. Any unsolicited expenses can really hamper the overall performance of the project, so budget is another important factor for choosing the project management methodology. Flexibility. If there are any changes in the project after the initial phase begins, it may cause a lot of damage to the project delivery. So while choosing the project management methodology, we have to make sure that there is a scope of flexibility during the project, or even if there is no scope for changes, we have to be aware of it beforehand and choose the methodology accordingly. Timeline. A much more important aspect is, when do you want your project to end? What kind of commitment is required from the team based on the deadline? It is crucial in order to decide which methodology will ensure the project delivery in the specified time. So the project timeline is one more factor that adds a lot of relevance to whichever project management methodology is chosen for the project. Collaboration. Another aspect is the kind of collaboration that is required between the various stakeholders. We will learn about the stakeholders in the later section, where we will discuss all the important project management terminologies. Coming back to the topic, according to the project, each project will have their requirements where they need specific stakeholder collaboration, and sometimes it is not required at all. And it also adds a relevant bias towards choosing the correct methodology for your project. Scalability. One more factor is the scalability of the project. The methodology chosen for the project should align with the scalability of the project, and provide the maximum efficiency for it. Project risk. The risk associated with the project is also one of the driving forces while deciding the methodology for the project. The methodology will have to be efficient enough to manage the risk associated with the project without hampering the overall efficiency of the project. Resources. And then comes to the resources associated with the project. It is crucial to make sure that the resources that are linked to the project are available during the project, and how they would be managed for the overall efficiency of the project. Resistance to change. In various situations, the resistance to change can be really exhausting. So while choosing the methodology for the project, one must make sure they will be able to manage any resistance to change during the project and maintain full efficiency throughout the project duration. The next question is, how can you use the project management tools for your project? The project management tools can benefit a project manager in a lot of ways. We have listed down a few benefits that a project management tool can provide. Improved planning. The project management tools that provide full visibility and project planning assistance can be very useful for the project managers. The already ready template designs, visual boards, and less complexity while planning the project gives an edge to project managers and eventually lead to better and effective project plans. Enhanced collaboration. Communication channels in the project management tools can be very useful for collaboration across teams. The communication barrier that may hinder the project's performance is reduced to none with their all-inclusive communication channels. The stakeholders are able to convey their project needs with the teams efficiently with the project management tools. Effective risk management. Constant progress analysis can also help in identifying risks and producing solutions to handle the risks as well. The project management tools have risk assessment functionalities that can reduce the damage caused by the risks to a very minimum. They are able to identify any vulnerabilities based on the information provided in the project plan. Improved productivity. With improved collaboration, project planning, and effective risk management, the projects are bound to reach improved productivity. When we eliminate the roadblocks from the collaboration, planning, and other factors, it obviously creates a lot of improvements in the project delivery. Work remotely hassle-free. There are tools for project management that offer assistance in measuring the progress of work for remote teams. The boards that contain the work-related tasks and give a full view of the progress of the project give a wider perspective on how the team is performing. And thus, the teams are able to identify any shortcomings even working remotely. Progress of the project. The timelines and the various tools like Scrum board and Kanban boards give a full visual representation of the progress of the project. With these tools, you can easily identify which task requires more attention and how it will be completed without making any major changes in the original project timeline. Sharing files and docs. The various communication channels from a project management tool also open a safe and secure way to share the files and documents related to the project. With the tools, you can easily manage your project files and store them in a secure location as well. Cost management. The project management tools offer features that will curb the cost management issues for any project. They will identify the over-expenditure points so that you can easily mend a few processes to cover the costs of shortcomings. Resource allocation. Resource allocation becomes a very easy task for any project manager. With the project management tools, they are able to assign any work to the most relevant resource since everyone is connected to the same network or tools. Flexibility. The project management tools do not necessarily require the project to bend its way. The project management tools are flexible and offer multiple features. Although some of the features may be common for some tools, every tool offers specific features for different projects. Let's take a look at a few features that a project management tool offers. The next question is, how will you make an effective risk management plan? A risk management plan is basically how any organization or individual tackles the impact of risk, both positive and negative. It is how the project manager manages any unprecedented risks and shortcomings to save the project from any delay. The various components of the risk management plan are as follows. Risk analysis. You identify the risks associated with the project, analyze the impact of the risks on your project's outcome along with consolidating information about the project so that it becomes useful in other similar projects as well. Risk evaluation. Evaluating the impact of the risk on your project so that you can understand both the qualitative and quantitative impact of the risks associated with the project. Plan risk response. After identifying and evaluating the risks, you must plan a response to the risk to minimize the negative impacts that may cause any delay to the project. Contingency plan. Planning or creating a contingency/backup plan in case a risk is encountered during the project is one of the most important aspects of the risk management plan. You must understand what factors could trigger the risk and map out specific milestones in the project, where specific risk owners will take care of the response then and there. Measure risk threshold. Risk threshold is basically a measure that tells us how expensive the risk would be in terms of cost, time, and outcome, or which risk would land the project in serious jeopardy. Monitoring and reporting. Planning a monitoring stage where each risk is monitored and reported. The next question is, how will you do the risk assessment for your project? The most important factors when dealing with risks with your projects are risk event, risk duration, risk probability, risk impact. Based on the above factors, the assessment revolves around who and how will they get affected when risk is encountered in any project. The components or steps followed in a risk assessment are as follows. Risk identification. In the identification process, each of the tasks is evaluated and any risk that may be associated with the task is identified. Usually, the team members brainstorm on various risks that may be associated with the projects. Probability of occurrence. You have to calculate the probability of each risk and understand at what point in time the issue may be encountered so that you can create a contingency plan as a countermeasure. Impact on the project. Each risk will have a different impact on the project. In this stage, we basically understand the impact of each risk on the project in terms of project delay, budget, etc. The next question is, what is the difference between the project manager and program manager? A project manager is responsible for managing a single project at a time. A program manager will have to oversee various projects at a time. A project manager's objectives are precise and concrete in terms of what sort of deliverable they have to finish. A program manager always has long-term strategic business objectives. A project manager manages a project from start to end with considerably smaller teams and budgets. Program managers work in an ongoing process that they do with considerably larger teams and immense budgets. The next question is, How would you create an effective change management plan? A change management plan is basically put in place so that any organizational change can be coordinated so that everything including a budget, scope, resources, schedule is unaffected or least affected. The change management plan can be created by following a few simple steps as follows. Identifying the reasons for the change. Creating change management scope. Process automation for smooth deliverance of tasks. Change management communication plan to collaborate with efficiency. Define role and responsibilities for a change management team. Milestones and change management budget. The next question is, why does a project fail? Project failures can happen due to numerous factors, but there are a few general factors that are usually overlooked in the projects that face failure in the later stages. Some of the factors are poor management, lack of effective communication, poor documentation and tracking, the fear among team members, a dearth of trained professionals, inexperienced project management, overlooking project warning symbols. The next question is, what was the problem with the conventional waterfall approach? The waterfall model follows a linear and sequential breakdown of project activities. Each stage in the project cycle cannot start before the previous tasks have been completed. This basically causes the following problems in any project. If the project is too complex, the changes that may occur during the project are impossible to deliver and may take a lot of time and resources for it to be fulfilled. The errors can only be fixed during the particular stage. This is the only reason that gave rise to the Agile methodology and continuous development and improvement. The next question is, how would you collaborate with the teams and stakeholders? Collaboration in project management is as important as project deliverables. Effective communication between various team members and stakeholders to reach the finish line can be as efficient as it can be disastrous for the project. Any miscommunication regarding the requirements or sensitive information can put the whole project in jeopardy and can hamper the project delivery along with increased budgets. There are a few principles one can follow to efficiently collaborate within the projects. Getting a project owner to manage and keep the team up to date. Meaningful meetings that reach a conclusion. User-friendly communication channels so that each of the members of the team is able to effectively communicate. Open, constructive discussions for all-round participation and healthy relationships among the team members. Trust, respect, and willingness among teams, etc. The next question is, how can you create an effective resource management plan? An effective project resource plan consists of the plan to manage the resources associated with the project. For an effective project resource plan, you can follow the following steps. Determine the available resources for the project. Assign the relevant resources to specific tasks based on their nature. Plan the time duration of each resource that would be involved in the project. Resource scheduling based on availability. Tracking the project progress and that of resources. Room for adjustments during the project. Retrospect for making future resource management plans. The next question is, how would you create the team motivated and lift the team's morale? Keeping the team motivated at all times can yield tremendous results from any team. By boosting the morale of the team, a project manager sends a clear message that they care about the well-being of the team and want to see them excel in their respective fields. Some of the ways in which you can lift your team's spirit are as follows. Self-development opportunities to team members. Compensate them according to their actual worth. Build trust and a healthy environment with effective collaboration. A pleasant working environment to lift their spirits. Set clear goals and handle failures with a sense of improvement rather than punishment. Avoid irrelevant wastage of work time in pointless meetings and micromanagement. Going beyond my door is always open, and encouraging teams' interaction outside the office. Supporting the initiatives taken by the team members. Keeping the team motivated is an ongoing process. It is extremely important to look out for your own team and understand where they might be facing any issues. The next question is, how can a conflict affect the project's progress? How will you resolve a conflict? A conflict can affect the progress of any project in terms of the increased budget, increased project delivery time, etc. The conflict in a project can arise due to the following reasons. Conflict due to budgets. Miscommunication and misunderstandings. Lack of trust in team members. Conflict of interest and perceptions. Ego and personality clash. Anyway, to avoid any conflict during a project, we can focus on the following factors. Exercising authority can lead to managing conflicts quite firmly. You can call a meeting to acknowledge the problems and solve them instead of reacting to the reactions. Calling in for help when the conflict is beyond a certain point. A compromise between both the parties by listening to their ordeals and benefiting each of them. You can delegate a conflict. using a mediator to get to the bottom of the situation and resolve the matter as soon as possible. Apart from the above-mentioned points, a conflict will never serve the project any better. It is always better to be well prepared for unprecedented situations, be it any issue, conflicts, risks, etc. The next question is: what is the best leadership approach? Every project manager learns from their own experiences and a set of principles and best practices that they have acquired over the years. But there are still certain leadership approaches such as visionary leadership style, affiliative leadership style, participative leadership style, coaching leadership style, pace-setting leadership style, and directive leadership style. These approaches can really help a project manager in the long run, provided that you understand how each of the leadership styles suits your own agenda and nature as a project manager. Regardless of what style you may be following, there are certain skills that a great leader always entails. Some of the leadership skills are as follows: cool and calm composition at all times, a proactive approach to making decisions, positive attitude and enthusiasm, excellent problem solving, communication, and interpersonal skills, competence and integrity, an excellent delegator and team builder, ability to envision goals and inspire the team to reach its conclusion. The next question is: how will you manage the underperforming assets in the team? An underperforming asset in any team can delay the project and eventually reduce the overall efficiency of the team. As a project manager, you can approach this situation with caution so that the asset remains productive without hampering the progress of the project. Some of the ways that you can follow are: making a roadmap for improvements. Make the expectations clear to the asset. Constant reviews and constructive feedback for the ongoing tasks. Introspection for any project management behaviors that may have led to the underperforming asset's reduced productivity. Making sure that the underperforming asset isn't lacking any necessary tools required for the task to be finished. The next question is: what do you know about gold plating? How would you prevent it? In a project, when the work was done after a point of time becomes irrelevant to an extent where neither the customer is happy, nor the work put in yields any returns. This phenomenon is known as gold plating. It is basically where the team is putting in efforts in the project to the point of diminishing returns. We can take care of certain factors during the project to avoid gold plating at any point in time. Establishing effective communication between team members to avoid any miscommunication. As a project manager, avoid any new tasks started by the team members without approval. The next question is: how to deal with difficult stakeholders? Managing the stakeholders is a tricky business. They often end up creating a lot of difficult situations for the project manager. To deal with difficult stakeholders, you can follow a few simple steps. First of all, the project goals have to be clearly communicated with the stakeholders. Identify and document each stakeholder so that you can monitor their activities related to the project. You have to be very clear and precise while communicating with the stakeholders. Don't make the stakeholders wait too long before they can see the value. Constant communication with each stakeholder by scheduling meetings will give you a clear perspective on their vision and requirements. The next question is: what is the difference between Kanban and Scrum? Scrum and Kanban are two agile methodology frameworks. Scrum is a framework set of processes and tools that achieves the project goals with specified roles and responsibilities. Kanban emphasizes continuous development while making sure that there is no burden on the development team. Let's take a look at the differences between Scrum and Kanban. In Scrum, the work is divided into sprints where the deliverables must be finished in a specified time frame. For Kanban, the work is continuously delivered whenever a process or product is required. In Scrum, there are predefined job roles in the Scrum methodology like product owner, Scrum master, etc. For Kanban, there are no predefined job roles in the Kanban methodology. Scrum uses a pull system in the workflow, although an entire batch is pulled for each iteration. Kanban uses a pull system where each member can pull new tasks once the previous tasks are completed. In the Scrum, any changes while the sprint is in progress are strongly discouraged. In Kanban, the changes are encouraged to allow continuous improvements. Lastly, Scrum is best for teams where the requirements may not change drastically. Whereas, Kanban is best for projects where the requirements will keep varying. The next question is: what is Scrumban methodology? How does it help your project's efficiency? Scrumban is an agile project management methodology that is nothing but the combination of two other agile methodologies, Scrum and Kanban. Using the very best of the two methodologies, the Scrumban methodology provides the best of both worlds. By making use of the pull system in the workflow and structure with Scrum tools for a more efficient project management experience. The Scrum methodology is best for projects that are looking for more flexibility in a Scrum environment. The next question is, what is the difference between project monitoring and project control? There is a very slight difference between project monitoring and project controlling. While project monitoring involves the processes where you are watching or basically keeping track of the progress of the project. Project control, on the other hand, is the process where the information that is obtained from the monitoring phase is used to maintain the control and bring the performance on par with the actual project plan. The next question is, how will you measure the progress of your project? Managing a project involves monitoring the performance of the project. Here are simple steps you can follow to measure the performance or the actual progress of your project. The units completed method can give a clear perspective of the actual performance and progress of the project. Incremental milestones for your project will tell you where you have reached in your project. The 50-50 rule, or the start to finish rule. Cost ratio that involves the overhead and cost that can help the project managers to calculate the progress of the project. Experience or opinion, where the expertise and experience of the project manager can be useful to measure the progress of the project. Weighted or equivalent units of various subtasks in a project to measure the progress of the project. The next question is, what is EVM? And how would you use it? EVM, or Earned Value Management, is basically a project performance estimation process where we use the project schedule, cost, and scope to predict the performance of the project. To use the EVM method for your project, you will need the following. Planned value. This is the budgeted amount for the current reporting period. Actual cost. The real cost to date. Earned value. The product of the total project budget and the percentage of the completed project. After this, you will need to calculate the schedule performance index. If less than 1, indicates that the project is behind schedule. The cost performance index. If less than 1, indicates that the budgets were higher than the budget. Estimated at completion. This will tell you how much the project will actually cost. The next question is, what are fast tracking and crashing techniques? Fast tracking and crashing in project management are schedule compression techniques in project management. In fast tracking, the overall timeline is compressed and the project schedule is shortened. This is done by performing the tasks together at the same time, instead of approaching them sequentially. On the other hand, crashing basically shortens the project schedule by reducing the time for a few of the tasks. This is done by adding more resources to the project to reduce the time taken to complete it. The next question is, how would you close the project? Closing the project is the last stage of the project management lifecycle. You can follow the steps below to make sure you have documented everything related to the project and the deliverables. Transfer all the deliverables to the client. Verify project completion taking into account each and every stakeholder. Review the documentation related to the project requirements. Release the resources associated with the project. Conduct a retrospective review of the project. Archive the project documentation for future references. Celebrate the accomplishment with the teams to boost their confidence. The next question is, what is project portfolio management? Portfolio management is the prioritization, selection, and controlling of an organization's programs and projects. The goal here is to maintain and establish change management initiatives without any effect on business, making sure a constant return on investment as well. The various types of project portfolio management include active, passive, discretionary, non-discretionary project portfolio management, etc. Project portfolio management is often needed at organizations to brace for any impact that could come with unprecedented changes in the organizational structure, goals, etc. The next question is, how would you create the budget for the project? Making a budget for any project can be summarized into the following steps. First of all, you will need to break down the project into smaller tasks and milestones. Analyze each item in the task list. Add your budget estimates together. Add contingencies and taxes. Get approval from the concerned authority. With these simple steps, you can create a budget for your project. Although, several tools and practices can be used to either analyze or to create estimates for your project. The next question is, what measures would you take to ensure the budget is not affected? Creating a budget for your project also needs to be monitored to check if the project is in fact going as planned or the budget might get affected or not. You can follow the following steps to ensure the budget is not affected during the project. The budget should be comprehensive with the details of everything that is included in the project. The instances where any budget cuts have been implemented must be highlighted in the project budget. Detailed information about any consequences that may be associated with the project due to the cuts should be considered. Progress mapping techniques like EVM to calculate if the project is going over budget to constantly measure the performance of the project budget. Reassign resources and use technologically advanced software for effective project management. Review similar projects and plan for similar failures or shortcomings with contingency plans. The next question is: how to manage project dependencies? Project dependencies, if not managed efficiently, can put the whole project in jeopardy. You can follow the following steps to effectively manage project dependencies. There has to be a clear understanding of what kind of dependencies will affect the project. Creating a plan to manage dependencies in a structured all-around manner. Identifying and analyzing the dependencies associated with the project. The validation of dependencies between both parties via meetings or proper communication channels to avoid any miscommunication. Continuously managing the dependencies until the project goals are met. The next question is: what are milestones? How can you use the milestones for your project? Milestones in project management terminology are used to mark an event. It is basically marking a specific event in the timeline, like a project kickoff meeting, project start date, project end date, or any other significant/insignificant event that must be highlighted in the project timeline. To use the milestones effectively in our projects, we can do the following. Planning a schedule with project milestones to stay on track. Monitor the progress of the project with milestones. Create important events in the project timeline with milestones. The next question is: what are WIP limits? How can you use WIP limits for your projects? WIP limits, or work in progress limits, is a project management strategy to prevent any bottlenecks in the project's progress. By setting a limit on the total workflow verified and facilitated by the team, makes sure that the resources are not overburdened. VIP limits can help any project to reduce the waste incurred in excessive meetings, context switching, rework, duplicate effort, missed deadlines, etc. The next question is: how will you deal with the bottlenecks during your project? A bottleneck is an area in the project where the work is held up and causing the delay. Similar to what we experience at construction sites on highways, where the car has to slow down and wait for the vehicle in front of them to move first. To deal with the bottlenecks in the project, we can follow the following steps. Identify and detect bottlenecks in a project by visualizing and monitoring the progress of tasks. A bottleneck shouldn't be left idle, and reduce the strain on the bottleneck by adding more resources. WIP limits to manage the possible bottlenecks. Organize process work in batches to reduce time. The next question is: what are the advantages of stand-up meetings for your projects? The benefits of the stand-up meetings for any project can be summarized as follows. Stand-up meetings keep the meetings short, precise, and to the point, which makes them more productive and less time-consuming. The attentive approach induces an active attitude within the team. The team's involvement is increased. Stand-up meetings also make up for any shortcomings or roadblocks that may be troubling the efficiency of the project. Stand-up meetings make up for the health benefits that are gained from standing up during the meetings. The next question is: how do you create a resource breakdown structure? A resource breakdown structure is a breakdown of resources that will be required to finish the project. The resources are categorized based on the function and type. For creating a resource breakdown structure for any project, the following steps are followed. Analyze every task in the project, and identify each resource that will be required to fulfill the tasks. Gather information from other processes, including risk management, cost management, schedule management, to make sure that the task list aligns with every resource that will be required. The resource breakdown structure is a tree diagram-like structure in which the top level indicates the final deliverables, and after that, the resource types and the teams that are finishing the tasks are represented on the leaf nodes. The next question is: what do you know about issue management and bug tracking systems? The process of identifying and resolving any issue related to the project comes under issue management. The bug tracking system, on the other hand, monitors the project and reports any bugs that will be encountered. With every bug, the analysis is done to identify the impact on the project, and based on it, the response is given. The various benefits of using a bug tracking system are as follows. Improved quality management. Reduced cost of production. Early detection of bugs to safeguard from damages. Better service and customer satisfaction. The next question is: what are the different types of issues faced in a project? An issue can be as trivial as the simple unavailability of a resource. But, in the long run, it can still cause serious damage to the project and its efficiency. So here are some of the issues that are faced in a project. Lack of clarity in deciding the goals and objectives of the project. Ineffective communication. Lack of precise budget for the project. Inadequate skills. Lack of accountability among the team members. Scope creep. Inadequate issue management. Reduced efficiency due to lack of schedule management. These are only a few of the issues that may occur in a project. There are different issues with each project since each project is unique in its own way. The next question is: how do you plan effective quality assurance for your project? Quality assurance ensures that the project deliverables are at the highest quality mark and align perfectly with the project requirements. Some of the ways that can perfectly plan effective quality assurance for your project are as follows. Define and commit to the quality that you desire from the project. Be consistent and updated with the project requirements. Manage and perform quality assurance practices to keep the project on track and on par with quality standards. Now let's move on to a few scenario-based questions, where the interviewer might want to see the approach that you would take. The first question is: if you suddenly notice a traffic drop on a website, how would you do the root cause analysis? Root cause analysis, or RCA, is the systematic process of finding out the main problem or the event and how to resolve them in a project. In order to do the RCA to understand the traffic drop on a website, we can do the following. Check the Google Search Console for any irregularities in the traffic. Analyze the start date for the traffic drop in Site Analytics to narrow it down a little further. Check the authenticity of the tracking data and analyze if there is anything abnormal there regarding the tracking data. Check for any changes in the Google algorithm that may have resulted in the traffic drop on your website. Losing inbound links may result in reduced traffic as well. Check whether there is a drop in the referrals. Site redesign issues may lead to reduced traffic. These steps will narrow down the root cause for the traffic drop on the website and help you work on the solutions. The next question is: how will you manage an overconfident member of your team who always wants more responsibilities but isn't that efficient while working on them? As project managers, we must channelize positive energy in the right direction, and always try to save the project from shortcomings. An overconfident member of the team who takes responsibility and cannot fulfill it poses a lot of challenges for the team in the future. To deal with this, a project manager could use the following ways. Their shortcomings should be communicated to them immediately. Be patient with the problem but do not oversee the problem. Never lose your calm while dealing with such team members. Set a few boundaries and communicate the consequences of such actions. Appeasing such team members may lead to even bigger disasters. Always try to give them constructive feedback to reflect upon. While giving a chance for an explanation, counter their arguments with a positive approach. The next question is: what will you do if somebody from the team fell ill and there is an important project deliverable needed the next day? An effective project plan will have room for contingency plans for critical tasks such as project delivery. In case a team member falls ill, we can always go for the backup plan in place. Another option is to keep a buffer in capacity planning to avoid such situations. What is your favorite product? Why and how would you improve it? This is a kind of question where the interviewer is trying to understand the following perspective from your end. Your ability to understand product design. Your ability to give constructive feedback. And your ability to understand a product. Normally in such situations, you can follow an approach where you frame your response based on the following: a user's perspective. Problems for the user. Solutions for the user. Last but not least, how would you manage a client when you have encountered an issue just before the UAT? User acceptance testing can be managed by properly planning the whole process. These issues will not be encountered if the preparation is done efficiently. To efficiently plan a WAT, you can follow the following steps. Preparation for testing. You will need to identify the resources, create a schedule and establish a process. Standardizing the process. By clearly communicating the next steps in the process, organizing feedback and tracking progress, etc. User-centric. Effective collaboration, keeping the project objective on top priority. With this we have come to the end of the session. We wish you good luck in your future endeavors. For any project management related worries, reach out to us. We offer basic to advanced level project management certification courses. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to Invensis Learning, and press the bell icon to get the latest updates. Tell us in the comments about your project manager interview experience and some of the questions you remember. We'll see you guys in another session. Until then, keep learning. Thank you.